Alright, I think we're pretty good to go. Welcome to the first HoN PodCast. Today, the pilot episode, the first episode that we're ever going to be doing, talking about a range of issues from new rule changes, CGI, CGM, and CGO, including the Oz scene, a yay and nay segment, and we're also going to be crossing to the one-on-one Harvey Norman CG comp a bit later in the program. Today, I am joined by two guys who I've gotten to know over the last couple of months. Of course, Propane from 4 Seasons. How are you going tonight, Propane?
Hey, good, thank you.
And Tyson, of course, as many would know him as To The Days from Frey, making a very big effort to come here live from a relative's house without any globe, just on his laptop. So, how you doing tonight, champ?
Doing what I can, just, doing my part for the HoN scene, guys.
That's good, champ. Thanks very much for joining us. And before we get into it, I just want to thank the AC Ryan for the sponsorship of this season. They've been able to contribute $1,500, which has allowed us to run not only the CGI, but also the CGM and CGO with the prize pools. And we'll be discussing that a little bit more later. And I'd also like to individually thank Thrask for the podcast template, which we'll be able to put up editing in later in the video, so you guys will be able to probably see it right now. But just thank you very much for doing that. And first thing I want to talk to you guys about is, of course, a couple of the new rule changes. With, of course, every new season comes new or modified rules. And one of the biggest rule that's been implemented into the tournament is the team lockouts, being no team swapping. The only way that you can join a team is if you played in the league below it and you join up. So that means if you play in the CGI, you're not able to jump from a CGI team to another CGI team. You can't jump from a CGI team down to a CGM or CGO. And it's pretty much as a cause and reflection into last season, where we found a lot of teams jumping from one side to the next, and you'd be playing the same guys over and over just because of all the substitutions and changes between one another. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I'll start it off with you, Tyson, because I know that you did play in last season in the first couple of games. I'm not sure if you actually got traded mid-season. I know that you've been with Frey for quite some time. What's your outlook on it so far with the current season going underway?
Well, there's too many rules for starters in the Australian HoN. Coming up from the Dota scene, playing for a couple of the top teams there, everyone subs, everyone sluts for each other, everyone smurfs, as you call it in HoN. But now, when you're in HoN in a competitive environment, or with the Australian one anyway, there's no smurfing, no subbing, no nothing of that nature, and it's sort of put the game into a lot of top teams having players banned. You've got Lock Shadow, you've got Shinks and Slicks as well. It's sort of like it's ruining the league, so to speak. I think personally they could move to something more of a no stat nature, to whereas it doesn't matter who's playing in the game or who's representing each team. The idea is to have a team represented on the night, no stats, doesn't matter if they're smurfing or whatever, and the best team wins, and you have a better ladder play out as that.
That's I haven't actually heard anyone put that forward before, actually having no stat games in the league. So PSR's not a faculty. It doesn't actually matter who you're going for. And Propane, I'm sure you've got a viewpoint on this as well, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, well, I think one of the major issues about this is that, like we said before, I was just talking to Tyson off camera, that our HoN scene, the Australian HoN scene in particular, is just really small. So there are a lot of rules, like definitely, I agree with that. Maybe some, like maybe a bit too far, like they go too far. But it's just really tight, like close-knit community. And if you're going to smurf, if you're going to do anything like that, chances are you're going to be caught, because there's just not that many professional Australian HoN players. And I guess it's just a lot harder to get away with it. So as for making the rules even more strict, some could say that's a bit redundant. But, rules are rules, and if we want to get good games, we want to get professional games, we've got to abide by these rules.
The way that the rule set is now, it's very hard for players like myself, who I'm on the Frey roster, but we've got a pretty active team, and our top 5 are pretty consistently online for every game, meaning me being like a 6th, 7th member, whatever it is that I may be, I don't get a play. Now, being on the Frey roster, means I can't compete in the CyberGamer tournament, basically, whatever, because of my place in the team. So, a player in my position, you think to yourself, geez, I wouldn't mind having a game, a bit of a competitive scrim here and there. Maybe I'll make a Smurf account and play for another team that would appreciate my skill set. So, there's you can see the why, and you can see the why for not allowing that to happen, because obviously you want a team to be represented by their players and their players only. So, it's you can see both sides.
Yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying, and with your situation, I know that just prior to the season kicking off, Corrupt was in your situation playing for Jokes, or Southern Elites as they're now known, and pretty much he was never going to get a run on the Southern Elite team, and just prior to that, he actually just dropped the team completely. He's still friends with them, of course, and ended up joining up with Propane at 4 Season as part of the main 5, I believe, on your 4 Season CGM team.
Yep, he's in the starting 5.
Yeah, the one thing I hated last season playing in a CG on one of the lower tier teams, Cash Money Heroes, is that I remember the first week we played HNHH, and 3 weeks later we ended up playing, I can't remember the exact team name, but it felt like we were playing that team all over again simply because there was a problem with the team and half the players joined there. I think it had something to do with Peen or Nom Nom. And it was just like, I felt like we lost it, of course, but I felt like it shouldn't have been done that way. Like, I wanted to play a completely different team with different skills, and it felt like a bit of a repetition, the fact that, well, these guys are going to be jumping here and there, and you're not actually 100% sure of where they're going to be, and it would kind of suck if you continually found yourself playing against these guys who were just team jumping. I know one of the actual worst people to be team hopping is WTF Barbecue, oh my god, Matt Brimson, and he couldn't stay in a team longer than 2 weeks, and he was the first one affected by this rule, where he played for SYF Gaming, which was in the CGI for first round, and ended up pulling out after round 2, and he just couldn't go anywhere. But he was team hopping from everywhere. I think he even played for us, he played for 4 Seasons, he played for One Day, he did this and that, but it would have annoyed me just for the fact that you have all these guys simply jumping here and there, and you'd be playing them all over again. I do like your idea about the no stats, maybe as a faculty, but you'd have to ensure that the person that they're playing, even if it was on a Smurf or not, would have to be that same person, not just another person playing under a different account. That's just my kind of an outtake on it. If you want to take that in any further, it's just I find, Tyson, that you're a very good player and people have come to know it, but I know that you're probably not going to get a run, but have you ever considered actually just playing for a lower team and not being part of Frey and just having an association with them?
I have. I've considered it. There's just no other teams out there in the CGI I'd want to play for. I hate a lot of the Zenith players. I have Doom Driver especially. The kid's going to get smacked in the face if I ever see him. And I don't. Some of the lower teams, I don't really know any of the people in them. You play a couple of man houses. It's just frustrating when you don't really know the people. And I've got to know a lot of the Frey boys in real life through LAN comps and stuff like that. And I far enjoy playing with them because I know what my role is. I know generally the heroes I'm going to get. We know each other's playing abilities a lot better. So to jump to another team this late in the piece, when really a lot of us are just looking forward to Dota 2, it's a bit I don't know, pointless. So.
Yeah, I think unless Propane's got something to add, we might just wrap that segment up.
On the no stats note, you're mentioning no stats primarily because of PSR being an issue. Like, people don't want to play because they might lose PSR. How much, is that really the case? Because you're playing these league matches pretty much because you want to win. Whether it's no stats or not, people are still going to get frustrated, aren't they? So, but no, I think it's a good idea though. If it just adds that little bit extra to it, so people don't get frustrated, why not?
Yeah, no, that's a pretty fair call, and I think we might just wrap that up there and move along to the CGI as an overview and looking at the standings as we speak. I don't know about you guys, but this is consistent with the last two CGI seasons, where you've got 3 to 4 teams pretty much dominating the entire ladder for the whole season, and then you've got your other bracket from like usually 4th to 8th or 5th to 8th, as we have this time, of guys that aren't able to compete on those top 4 player levels. Do you think that there's actually a way to get around this? Like, do we cut the league down to 6 teams, or do we just keep putting in cannon fodder from the CGM that goes up, or however the Invitational is going to work next season? There just hasn't seemed to be a way of fixing it. It might just come down to the fact that there aren't as many professional teams in HoN. I don't know. Propane, you've got any outtakes on that at the moment, or?
Well, like I said, we have a very small community, and the best of the best players usually end up in the same team. And then you've got a couple of really good teams as well, and then there's people from CGM. Like, I'm not going to lie, I don't know like how they are in the CGI, and they're not going to do well. And I think it's just to do with our community. It's really not that big. We could put it down to 6 teams, but do you think that would affect the competition aspect of it at all? Just that there are less teams in it?
I don't think it'd be as enjoyable.
Yeah, true.
I just like having a variety just between the teams and being able to play different teams, which was mainly my argument for the last thing we just discussed. What do you reckon, Tyson? You've been here just as long as me and Propane, so you know.
Yeah. I think 4 teams is pretty much what you've got, your player base. If you did take it to 6, what I'd like to see personally, and there's a couple of different discussions on the normal discussion thread about sort of different tournament types, and I think inevitably it needs to the CGI. I think to improve it, you could probably reduce the amount of teams, because there are teams that are just throwaway and a free win, and you can just get any 5 together and just beat, and that's not being biased or anything. It's just that they're just not as experienced as the top level teams, and to have 8 in the competition doesn't seem fair. In a similar note, you could have a tournament whereas you don't have an actual team representation in terms of like a captain or like a random draft type tournament, whereas you're separating the best players, because as it is, you've got hang on, I'll look up the ladder. So you've got Frey, you've got Zenith, you've got, what are they called now? Mind Freak, Exile, all those guys. You take, you split those teams up, and they've got a lot of players to them, because generally speaking, good players want to play with good players. They don't want to carry people. They want to have a chance at winning, and to do that, they jump on the best team. So you split up, the 6, 7, 8 people you've got on those best teams into a big pool of people. You then have captains for 5 or 6 teams, pick who they want. You've then got full set rosters, and then you've got a pretty evenly spread 4 teams. So it makes it interesting, because at this point in time, it looks like Frey's going to remain unbeaten. That's coming totally unbiased, because I don't really play any games, so I don't really care if the team wins or not. But Mind Freak could upset them. It makes it a little bit interesting, but to do something like that might change things up a little bit, might make it a little bit interesting.
I remember a thread about that made ages ago, but the only problem I have is that there are teams specifically with sponsors. Like, do you think Slicks would get the Fnatica race sponsor if he jumped another team, or would it be enticed to one player, or is it the captain? That's the only problem. But
which is why I would suggest running it in conjunction with the CGI. You still have your CGI.
Oh, right, okay.
But have a little side one, like you have the one-on-one competitions, and just like a mini league to have a bit of fun,
That's fair enough. And one thing that I definitely have to highlight is that the team that took out the CGI in points last season, the Climax crew, previously known as Power Rangers, have thrown in the towel quite early this season. And pretty much after, they actually got a map against Frey, which no other team has been able to do. They beat TSFG, then they decided to forfeit and concede, and Boostum went out the window, and everyone else that was left there, like MK, Kirby, just didn't want to keep playing. I mean, that's kind of a bit of an issue, and it's just unfortunate with a team with that kind of expectation dropping the ball from being up there to being pretty much dropped as next season, most likely. If there's any other team that's going to be knocking off Frey, as you were saying, Tyson, I think it would have to be Mindfreak.
At this point, it looks like that. I mean, with Zenith Lock Shadow being banned, it really does minimise the top sort of tier level. Although with Frey arguably carried by Slicks, and if he's banned, then it's looking pretty challenging. But with the pickup of Darby, they're still a very strong team. So it makes it a bit more level that you don't have Slicks and Darby on the same team. But then, you would assume it's a Mindfreak Frey final.
Yeah. Mindfreak Frey. Yeah, I don't know, because I know that Lock Shadow getting banned off the Zenith lineup, being the captain and having a lot of history with the team is kind of a downfall, but he usually plays mid, but I remember going to the LAN and casting a couple of their games, and Mozzie was their main mid player. Like, every time I saw Mozzie mid, I don't remember Shadow. I think he was either playing in the solo long lane or in the carry position, but I don't remember Shadow actually playing mid, so I don't know in terms of if it's going to be a massive effect, just because Zenith have built a bit of a substitution of rosters. I know at the current moment, with their game up against Frey, they've had to reschedule it simply because their players or their subs didn't join up, which is a bit confusing. But at the moment, Propane, these top 4 teams, what 2 teams do you see in the finals, and who do you think is going to take it? Do you think Frey are just going to outblitz everyone, or?
If Slicks was still with Frey, even with Lock Shadow, even though he's a great player, by all means, I would definitely be leaning towards Frey. But I agree with you guys almost 100%. It's going to be between Mindfreak and Razor. Like, to say who's going to win between them, I would give the advantage to Frey, but I'm really not in a position to call. I feel like Mindfreak do have a solid chance. Without a doubt.
I'm going to take a bit of a different look on it. I actually think that Mindfreak, even though they lost to Frey 2 weeks ago, are going to come into the finals and beat Frey with a completely thrown off lineup. And the reason why I say this, and I know that Tyson, you also did a bit of a review of this match. We're going back to round 1 when they played SYF, and they had a combination of chicanery on Jeraziah, and Roger Dodger was playing on Nighthound. Now, that was pretty much unseen. I've never come across that type of a lineup in competitive gaming. And that match pretty much went down to the wire. SYF playing a pushing game. They went all the way down to bot. They got into their pretty much in their last tier tower, and they held out for like 40 minutes. Meanwhile, Corrupted Disciple for SYF was able to get token twice during that whole time, and I can't explain it, but Mindfreak in that instance played it a perfect game, even though SYF were pretty flawless. And I know that we're talking about a month and a half ago now, but Tyson, after you were reviewing that match yourself, do you think changing up or switching up their lineups, as Mindfreak have been known with their Parasite, Roger Dodger and Gladiator, do you think that they're going to be able to on top of Frey, even with their pretty much solid play that they've been able to do?
Well, look, I think you can only do so much in terms of, reinventing heroes and trying out new heroes in the game at the moment. When they bring in new things, they're generally overpowered and banned, or underpowered and not used. There's no real balanced heroes off the bat, with a few exceptions. I can't really think who, but I know off the top of my head there was one. Anyway, you probably are going to see something like that. I think if Mindfreak take out one game, they're going to go for something really different, try to be left field and surprise someone, and that's a great way to win. I remember there was a competitive match. It was an international scene, big competition, and I can't remember which team it was, but they ran a Gladiator Hammerstorm combo, and they roamed with those two the whole game while they had 3 solo lane heroes, and they destroyed it. They absolutely killed the match, and they won a big game as a result of it. So you can definitely mix it up with new heroes and hero combinations, and I definitely think that we're going to see something in that in the finals.
Yeah, fair call. And having a look on the other teams down the bottom tier now, we've got Surefire, Southern Cross Elites, also known as Climax we've already covered, and 5 Esports. So I just want to make a special mention of the Surefire guys. They've really matured this season. You know, I remember last season we had so many difficult problems between their team of people logging into their account and stashing up their stats, getting S2 banned, but they've been really quiet, kept to themselves, and just focused and just played the games without getting into this banter between one another or other teams. So that's respect to them. And Southern Cross Elite's Jokes, who came through into the CGI via the Invitational games, bit of a disappointing season from them. I was expecting a bit more. I know that they've got the ability to play a lot better than what they are. I think they've only won 1 game and they've got 5 losses, 4 and against is 3-10. Propane, you've played against their team just as much. Did you expect them to maybe be a bit more competitive than where they actually are in terms of their standing?
Yeah, just like you, Spot, I'm pretty disappointed. I thought they could do so much better. I mean, I'm pretty good friends with some of these guys, and I feel like they could have maybe one-upped Surefire and Exile 5, maybe even gone toe-to-toe with Zenith. I'm really surprised that they're 6th on the ladder. I would have probably expected them to be maybe somewhere around 5th or 4th, at the very least. So it is disappointing. They could do better.
I think Cake and the boys would be more disappointed at themselves just by where they're positioned. They did pick up a sponsor, Southern Cross Elites, just coming into the season, which is a bit confusing because Southern Cross Elites are known more or less for console gaming. So I think HoN is their first PC game, and of course the last team that we've got on the ladder is 5 Esports, and that's these guys came in pretty much after round 2 with SYF dropping completely, going MIA, and they've had a pretty difficult season. I know, Propane, you've got a bit of insight to these guys recently.
If you just refresh your page, Spot, you'll see that they're now named Horizon. So as of 2 hours ago, it appears that they've picked up a sponsorship with Horizon Gaming. So, you know, props to those guys. Congratulations. But, yeah, look, they're last on the ladder, and they're the least experienced team. It's to be expected. They have 1 game on their belts, and that's against Climax. I'm not sure if that was a bye or whatever, but, you know, well done on manning up and getting into the Invitational. Look, just being a man, going in and playing all the best teams. A lot of the mainling teams were actually invited to come up and they declined it. So these guys, you know, they actually had the balls to accept it. So, you know, they do deserve some praise. Yeah. You can't just... They are last, but...
Yeah,
well done.
Exactly. They've been able to sit through all their games and just take it one by one. And they jumped straight from the CGO into the CGI because none of the CGM teams wanted to go. I didn't want to put my team up there. We'd be just cannon fodder for the rest of those guys like we were last season. But, you know, they've gone up there and they've pretty much sat through the entire season without kicking up a fuss or complaining, and just done what they've had to do to stay there. And I think, you know, they'll be able to come back next season with a bit more experience. I don't know if they're going to be in CGM or CGI. It just depends on the invitational rounds. But yeah, that's good on those guys. And a new asset to the CG HoN is the CGM League, which is pretty much your second division of the ladders. And I believe this has been one of the main aspects towards improvements on the HoN area, just because it's kind of like dividing that skill gap that's obviously there when you jump from CGO to CGI, and it's also, you know, has its own prize pool, so they're playing competitively for games. And we've seen teams like City Hunter Cyber Cafe completely blitz the ladder 6-0, being 4-12 and not losing a single map, which, as I was saying in one of my casts the other night, I don't think that's ever been done. A team that's gone through completely undefeated, unless I'm wrong. Tyson, you might know.
Yeah, I haven't known no one to go through undefeated at all, actually. Yeah, no.
Fair enough. It's the reason why I've liked this so much, and this has been really enjoyable for me to play in as a captain, as a player, is because unlike whatever other games I've played, is that usually you'll find 5 to 6 of these teams' players and captains all in the one TeamSpeak event talking to each other, which has a bit of camaraderie and competitiveness between them, but they all socialize and get along with each other. So that's one of the main aspects. It's been a good opportunity to play in, and it's been, I believe, a lot more close than the CGI. We have the top 6 teams who could have gone either way, with, of course, the 7th and 8th bottoming out being Giraffe Hunters and One Day Team 2. But, what's your outtake on the CGM so far, Propane, playing into it?
It's been great fun. There's really nothing bad I can say about this league. A lot of the teams seem to be on similar skill levels. We're not extremely high up there, we're not professional, but these are good teams. Like, any team that come up against each other, I wouldn't really give them a 100% chance to win over another. And that's what makes it so good. As for the City Hunter Cyber Cafe just blitzing the league, going 6-0, we're up against them this week, so, don't count your chickens, before they're hatched, man. We'll take them down.
No,
you heard it here first. Though.
You heard it here first. Propane. Big Ibby. Talking it up before the match. I'll have to cast someone if I'm able to.
Do an interview.
I definitely will. The thing I like about this season the most is that it's been inconsistent, and I've thought about it for a while, and I believe the reason why is because, unlike the CGI, the top 4 teams, the players in it don't take it as seriously, and they're not sponsored, so they're not expected to show up week after week. Now, I've had a problem in my team not able to have the 5 same guys week to week, so we're running our 7th or 8th bench player, and it really, you're not playing 100% efficient just because you've got that player coming in that's not used to your roster or they're new to the lineup. And it's made it interesting because it's just, we had one day upset RU New, and RU New qualified for the CGI, but they decided to play in CGM, and I believe they came 6th last season as well, and they're a pretty competitive team. You would have come up across them previously, Tyson, as Frey, maybe, even at LAN?
I think so, yeah, actually we did, definitely. Yeah, that was fun. We destroyed them.
Not to sound overly confident or anything, but
games, it's totally different. It's you've got people all sitting next to each other. You can really strategize about your draft picks, and you can really get into it in terms of being comfortable with your hero and knowing when to gank exactly right. If someone's not with you, you can just give them a quick punch and say, "Look, what are you doing, dickhead? Let's go gank this guy." It's a lot easier on land to communicate and to get things done. And if you've got a good team, you synergize a lot better, and the results get far more blown out. And you can see the winners a lot quicker. So. Can I just say, good luck, man. Both your teams coming 2nd and 3rd on the main league there. I want to see one of you guys topple this City Hunter team.
Oh my god!
I'll come Smurf for you.
Oh, yeah, no worries. They've well, that's the thing about the City Hunter team. As you were just saying, they are a landing team. So every competitive game coming up, they all meet at the LAN cafe that sponsors them because they can play for free in the main room section, in the private room, I should say, and they all play in the top computers all in a row. So maybe that's their secret, the fact that they've got the same 5 guys, they're all sitting next to each other, they can all talk trash, they can all threaten each other if they don't play good enough, and I definitely pull my shit together if a guy like you was next to me and pumping the fist, so...
No, I'm calm, man, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah. No doubts about that with the earlier DD comments. But the ladder's just, I think it's been pretty good. Even quad play coming 6th at the moment. They could have been just as easily coming 3rd or 4th. When we played them, they were I wouldn't say they were bad. I think they were pretty decent. They're definitely CGM worthy. I think they just got unlucky. And they're up against One Day this week, and they might be able to topple them coming 4th and maybe bump themselves up. They're not able to qualify for the finals coming into the last round, so that's a bit unfortunate for those guys. But it's been, I reckon, probably the best season for myself, not because of where we are on the ladder, just out of the interest for it. And the last ladder that we've got to talk about is, of course, the CGO, which has completely been revolutionized over time. Now, this ladder has a pool of only $150, so that's going to be split $100 for the first place, so $20 each if you divide it by 5, and $50 for the next, $10 each. But as you guys might be looking at the moment as well, if you've gone on the page and you scroll down, you can see it's just as active as it ever has been before, even with the absence of the teams in the CGI and CGM. I mean, you scroll down from 1 to say 16th, and all the teams have played at least 4 games. I mean, the least amount of games is 15th, who I should say is actually only got 2 members, but all the other teams in the top 16 have played at least 4 to 5 games, and some of them have even played 7. Why, Angry Birds have played 9 games. You know, it's been pretty close. And a big thing about that is that it's changed in the fact that how the ladder actually works. Originally, I know that when we used to play on it, is that you'd challenge your team above you half the percent of where you were plus 4. So if you were 16th, half at 8, 4th, plus 4. So you can challenge up to 4th place. And if you beat 4th, you pretty much jump from 16th all the way up to 4th position, which is a bit unfair because you can come in the final week and get your points fire that way and jump into the finals with only 1 win. But what they've been able to do in that CyberGamer is come up with a point system like a chess rating. You start off with 50 points, you win points on the basis of where the team that you've challenged or defending is actually coming. So, for example, if I'm coming first, as iPlay have, when we look at the game that they've got against Climax, if iPlay win, they only get 5 points. If they lose 2. But if Climax actually wins, they get 9, and the points lost for them is only 1. So I think that's been a really big step in the right way. I don't know if you guys have had a lot of chess experience over your time or similar ratings previously in other competitions.
Not really.
Not really? No? Propane?
Nothing to say here, Spot.
Nothing to say here.
We played in the first. Actually, I think we've played in every CyberGamer tournament since the beta. And they used to have the tournaments were all like this. I kind of miss this system rather than the weekly show up or forfeit your game or try to reschedule it sort of thing where you can just challenge at any stage. You got 5 online, you can make a challenge on the ladder and hope they accept it that night. I don't know, it's a good format.
Yeah, I think I do prefer having the weekly schedule matches in CGM, CGI because it's a bit more scheduled round robin. You're definitely going to play all the teams. But with this format, it means that it's you're going to have to work your way up there, and the more games you play, the higher you actually are going to be on the ladder. So that actual league finishes next week on the Wednesday, so that's going to be the final cutoff day. And it's going to have the top 8 teams going through, playing off in a in a competitive game, 1v8, 7v2, etc., like we used to do. So that's going to be pretty good in the fact that there's a prize pool. It's not much, $150. It's just something to play for. But it's been great to see the amount of teams that have come into it, which surprised me. I don't know. Did you guys ever imagine seeing that many teams on the CGO with CGI and CGM currently playing, or?
Quite surprised. Yeah, there's a lot of teams on there. There's actually a whole lot of people I thought would have been in the CGM in the league you guys are playing, and you've got people like I've just had a quick look through some of the team lists, and you've got who is it? I think they're guys that are coming second. iPlay. You've got a lot of those guys who have got actually a really dominant presence in a lot of the man houses now. You've got people like Epic Breeze and Kaboom who are in a lot of games. Who are actually in this tournament, not in any of the larger ladders, and you've got people in, the Angry Birds team, the 2GZ team, people I've known for a long time, Definitions, Rue, those people are definitely better than an open slather, nothing of a league with a bit of prize money attached to it that you would think they would at least make the main league. So it's actually really surprising. It's actually good to see a bit of competition down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Tyson's a bit more of a veteran in the CyberGamer. Veteran in the CyberGamer scene than I am. I'm pretty new to all this. I mean, I just kind of became active this year, so really don't have much to contribute, but I really do like the format, like you said. It's really nice that you can just hop on, challenge someone, and play a game. And my old team, already over, we did play a bunch of games on the open ladder, and everyone seemed to like it. It's a lot easier as well, because there's always, not always, but there's a lot of the time just having conflicts when you have a set date and someone can't make it, and then you have to bring in the sub and see if everything's okay, if it's not. And with these new rules that we were talking about before, it just makes things pretty hard. So it could be one reason why these teams that you've said that you know and that are pretty good maybe just prefer the open league in its format.
Yeah, that's that could be right. Although I'd imagine seeing iPlay and 2GZ up in CGM next season, I reckon they'd probably want to jump. Even Angry Birds have been pretty consistent. They've won 8 games. They've only lost 1. But I got to agree with you on the fact that it's just annoying to schedule games. I mean, you're trying to work with your team and set a Wednesday or a Thursday. Most of these games that I've been casting have been on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night, not really on the weekend, like when the CGI has been playing. So, you know, it's been completely different run, and it's been pretty efficient in the fact that I remember when we used to play in the CGO, a lot of the teams wouldn't respond and you'd just automatically be bumped up positions. So it's been a pretty good run for this season, with AC Ryan of course sponsoring with 150, and I'm looking forward to casting a couple of the CGO games. Probably not on the same skill level as you guys were saying as CGI, but it's been competitive nonetheless. And the next thing, of course, is the Oz scene, the CG Inhouses, and the Smurfing problems. Now, Propane originally raised the issue on the forum, highlighting what a lot of people thought, and copped a lot of banter for it as well at the same time, and that would lead to, of course, the CG Inhouses being re-implemented after so long of being inactive. Propane, give us a bit of a summary of what was going on with the Smurfing, and just kind of give us an idea as we get into it so people watching know what we're talking about.
Alright, well, it's sort of got to the point where you just want to join an Aussie game, you know, you're just playing alone, want to kill a little bit of time, and you're just starting to notice these continuous losses on your records. And you look at these players that are joining these games, and there's at least 2 or 3 in every game that are sitting on about 1600 PSR, maybe even 1700, and have, I'll say, a greater than 75% win-loss ratio. And what this will do, it's not like, okay, fair enough, you don't mind playing against decent players, like you want to play against skilled players because it's fun, but it'll unbalance the games, and you'll end up with a team of, like, you'll end up, on the other team you'll have Slicks Jr. In your team you're going to have Bob the HoN player, man. Like, it just doesn't work. You're going to end up with scrubs, and you're going to start losing a lot of games. And I noticed this pretty much because I recently reset my stats, and I've been trying to just pump them back up. Like, I've just been trying to play games, and just getting frustrated, man, because I can't seem to get a good game, and I can't seem to get a good team, and it sounds like a big cop-out, but it's the truth. And I feel like it's our community. Like, we only have, what is it? I only ever see maybe 10 servers up at a time, and 5 of these are dedicated to 1v1s, or, you know, no stats, or all middle, Devourer only, something like that. And then you have 5 that you can actually play in, but they're plagued by Smurfs and bads. There's no middle ground, and that's the problem.
See, I'm on the other side of that spectrum. I'm one of those 1800 players, but God forbid I would never, like, once you get to a certain point, you're sick of losing stats because of idiots that throw games and go, oh, I didn't get to my favourite heroes, I'm leaving, or, you know,
Tom Bedford.
fuck off, I'm going mid, man. No, no, fuck this, I'm throwing, and then they go feed themselves to Congo 100 times. And there's the, you know, and you're on your account, like I'm onto the day's account, and this happens to me all the time. And you lose like a 20, 30 PSR, and you're like, wow, you spend so long actually caring about the games you play, and playing manhouse games, and then you lose so easily on the account. So you go and you make yourself a Smurf, and you eventually get it up to a higher PSR. But then you're still losing as well. Like I've got one at the moment that's about 1600 PSR, and I'm on a massive losing streak of like 12 because every single game of those last 12 games has been spastics just going, no, I want middle, no, someone kick this guy, big noob, look at you noob, look at your KD, it's not even 2, what a stupid Smurf. So
yeah, one of the fixes for that that's come back up is the CG Inhouses, which I think has been a really positive action in the Oz scene. Just giving a bit of a background, pretty much you have to have a CG account and you cannot be playing on a Smurf. So you join these games and you get A-B'd 50-50. There are no locks, anyone can spectate, no specific rules, just except for the Smurfing fact. And I personally have really enjoyed playing in those games because I always know that I'm always going to be with a team of equal value, and it's a legitimate 50-50 game. Whereas if I'm versing a Smurf on a 1500 account who's going to be stacked with realistically 1800 players, it's really a 90-10 game in disguise. So I really like the fact that, I don't know if you've been playing in many of the CG in-houses, Tyson, but I know Propane Pat has, and I've been finding them really enjoyable just to play and even watch, because I have not seen a single game yet being a 20 or 30 minute concede. They've all been pushed to about 40, 50, 60 minute mark, and I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. So that's probably one of the pluses that has come out of that argument. And you've been playing in the in-houses yourself, Propane.
Yeah. No, great idea by Slub. He really took initiative and brought it up and started making these games for us on Aussie servers, and they are, like, the majority have been really good games. You just sit and play with people that are of similar or maybe even greater than you in skill level, and the teams are even, which is the main thing. That's what you want. But only join these games if Slub or Spot or maybe even myself has made them to not join these games if someone else makes them. These in-houses, like, they're just not going to enforce the rules. I've played, like, I'm not going to mention names, but I've played just any random house calling the same name.
Just let it out, man.
No, I'm not going to let it out, man. I've got to be, professional. Anyway, just don't play them because they're not. You'll just get, like, throwers, and like Tyson was saying, it's just the same shit all over again. Just join them if Slub has made them or something.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say. Don't, yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed there's a couple of duplicates going around, and people just trying to do their own thing, and I'm like, what the is going on here? I haven't even seen these people before. But moving right along from there, we've got the yay or nay segment, and we've got a first question for the yay or nay segment. Do you think that one day we'll be able to keep their spot in the finals for CGM? A bit of a backdrop, they are coming fourth at the moment, and RUNU are coming fifth. If RUNU win this weekend, and if one day loses against Quadplay, they're going to be draw. What do you guys reckon, yay or nay? One day we'll be able to keep their spot?
Nah. Nay from me.
Yay from me. One day are a good team, and we played them, and they took a game off us, and you can see that they've got some new players which are actually really good, and I'm going to say yay because I like One Day, and I think they can do it.
I'm going to have to barter against you there, Ibby. As much as I like those guys, and I talk to those guys as much as I do anyone else in TeamSpeak, I'm going to have to say nay. After watching them the other night, it was completely atrocious. I've never seen them play so low. And that game's cast, if you want to go check it against City Hunter. I don't know if it was just nerves or whatever the hell they were doing, but they were pretty disappointing. And moving along to the next question, will Mindfreak be able to make the finals for the CGI? Any takers? Yeah?
Of course, Mindfreak will.
Yeah, I've got to actually go with that one as well. They're most likely going to be playing against Zenith in the semis, so I reckon that as I said earlier, I think they might even be able to take the grand final. And to finish up the segment, Quad Play Team 1 will take the CGO. They're currently coming 7th, I think. 6th, sorry. Do you think they'll be able to take the CGO? Bit of a random question.
Quad Play, you're talking about CGO, sorry.
CGO, Quad Play.
I don't know. I think, you know what, I'm going to, hang on, I'll open up the open ladder here. There's a team, which team has Miller in it? I'm going to go for his team.
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds, that's where my money's on, Angry Birds.
Yeah?
They're going to take it out, definitely. They got Delts, they got Miller, they got a couple of people who I've known longer than others, and I think, from what I think, they've actually been together for quite a while. So I definitely think they have the cohesive ties they need to win, and they're going to take it out. You heard it here first.
All right.
Alrighty then. What about yourself, Ibby?
I'm gonna say, yay, sure.
Yeah, you sure? I'm gonna have to disagree with both views. That the Angry Birds, I casted one of their matches, and even though they've won 8 and only lost 1, and they won in this instance, they didn't really play that great. I mean, it might have just been a one-off, but they played pretty ordinary. They got a pretty easy win, but kind of like the one-day situation. If they plan on playing like that in the next couple of games, when it comes to finals, push comes to shove, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. And I actually favour iPlay, only because I don't want to see 2GZ win. So give or take, if anything, there.
The thing about quad play that I don't understand is, how do you tell their players apart? All of their players are called trollers. Like everyone.
Hate that. Talk about smurfing. My God, how can 3 blokes be called trollers?
Actually, there's 4 now, I think.
Oh man.
Oh, there's more than 4, man. I don't know. Like, seems like quad play team 1 has 2 trollers, and then we played quad play last week, and they had 4 trollers. So there's just trollers all around.
It's just trolling and troll it up. You just got to keep on trolling down the river.
Keep trolling.
All right, that wraps that up segment. And for the final thing, we are officially announcing for the first time the CG Harvey Norman competition 1-on-1, which is going to take between the time of the final round next week and the finals of all the leagues. And why is it the Harvey Norman competition? Because Harvey Norman Tasmania has decided to sponsor the competition, and the prize that we've been told that's going to be put out for that is that the person who comes first gets to pick whatever new release game they want to have. So that's a pretty good insight. You might be able to pick up Battlefield 3, Modern Warfare 3, whatever tickles your fancy, maybe even Dota 2, I don't know. But what are your picks for that? What are you gonna early picks, knowing that Slicks has already been told he can't play in this competition? What's your outlook on that? He took the last one comp. Roger came second. Are you going to be vouching for Roger to come through again and take that league as the predecessor, or is there someone else, rising star, that either of you know about?
Propane, you go first.
Sure. I've watched many a game that Roger's played, and I would say, yeah, I'd give him the top slot. But I've been talking to my mate Debugger, and I know he's your mate too. I'm going to try to get him involved too, because I feel like he can, do some work. I'm going to put myself in there as a close third. That's the predictions on my side.
Let me guess, Tyson, you're putting yourself as P1?
No way, man. I'll probably have a go at this one.
Yeah?
If I don't know what the qualifications are to actually be able to compete. I didn't do the one that Fives was hosting. Generally not big on the 1v1s. But I'm actually going to have a go at this one. I think I'll maybe finish top 20. I would hope so. I think if WTF performs, it'll be between him and Roger. I think 3rd and 4th bracket, I think Alex will step up. And I also think you're going to get a surprise in someone of the likes of Hibonaki or Mozzie or one of the Zenith guys in there as well, as a bit of a surprise. And then again, there might be an underdog for the 5th place. You've got White Talibur, who plays a very, very solid, mid hero. With some of them, you've got Bobo as well, who does much of the same. And it really depends on the hero choice, and it really depends on who's performing on the day, who's in the zone, man. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you mentioned this guy on one of your backlists, but I think Mozzie's going to come through. He has been playing pretty solid while I was watching him for Zenith. I know he's just gone pretty much MIA recently, but if he makes a return, turns up for the tournament, he's pumped up for the game, I reckon he can actually take it. As Propane was saying, Debugger not actually known in the Oz scene, and I can't really vouch for him because he plays in one of the CGM teams, but if he gets in there, he might be able to get into the top 8 at least. I'm definitely going to be playing in that one, or maybe just casting. I'll just have to see what's going on with that day, and I'm looking forward to see what's going to come of it. And of course, just got to finish up and say, remember, it is Tasmania. Harvey Norman, so if there are any Tasmanians watching, I know Triumph of Man is from Tasmania. I know that the entire roster for the team captained by the best, I can't actually remember what. In-Depth Gaming, yes, I know those guys. If you're watching right now, please go down and visit their shop, of course, purchase a couple of things you might want to pick up. Maybe some gaming gear. You might want to play in the tournament and win it, so you can go down and pick up your consolation prize through there. But that's pretty much going to wrap up the pilot cast for tonight. And I just want to thank Propane and, of course, to the Days for joining me tonight. So thank you guys both again for coming in. I know it's pretty late. It's about 11 o'clock, and I think everyone's ready to go to bed. But, thank you guys again for joining us. And hopefully you guys will be able to come through for episode 2 if we decide to kick that off.
Yeah, definitely. No, thanks for having us.
All right.
Thanks, mate. It was really good.
All right, no worries. Catch us next time, guys.
See ya.
Alrighty.